It's 5 o'clock. Is everybody on staff ready to go?
I think we're ready.
Okay, well, welcome to the Board of Directors meeting of Vallecitos Water District on Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 at 5 p.m. I'm going to read a quick little notice to the public here regarding the pandemic. Due to the evolving situation with COVID-19, novel coronavirus, and Executive Order N3520, so long as the state or local public health officials have imposed or recommended social distancing measures, Vallecitos Water District will hold future meetings via teleconferencing and allow members of the public to observe and address the meeting telephonically or otherwise electronically. During this period of time, Vallecitos Water District will not be making any physical location available for members of the public or observe the meeting and offer public comment. The public is encouraged to watch and participate in the meeting from the safety of their homes. The meeting can be viewed on the agenda page located on the main page of the district's website. Public comments and questions can be submitted to the following email address: publiccomment@vwd.org. All written comments that are received at least 90 minutes before the meeting will be provided to the board, and a record of the receipt of the comment will be noted during the meeting. Members of the public viewing the meeting via Zoom video conferencing platform can express their desire to provide input at the appropriate time by utilizing the raise hand function. Additional instructions for online participation will be posted on the district's website at www.vwd.org/meetings. Okay, got that out of the way. We'll go ahead and do a roll call. Director Evans. Do I still have everybody?
I am here. Sorry. Thank you.
I thought I might have bored you to death with that.
You did, but I'm still here.
Okay. Director Martin.
Present.
Director Hernandez.
Here.
Director Elithart.
Present.
Okay. And Director Stanella is here as well. So we have everybody in attendance. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved, Martin.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Hernandez.
Okay. There was a motion by Martin, seconded by Hernandez. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Elithart.
Yes.
Director Martin.
Yes.
Director Evans.
Yes.
And Director Hernandez.
Yes.
And Director Sinella votes yes as well. Okay, we'll go to public comment. And any persons wishing to address a matter that's not on the agenda may be heard at this time. However, no action will be taken until the matter is placed on a future agenda in accordance to board policy. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. A request to speak form is required to be submitted, or you could just raise your hand via Zoom. And we'll take your comment at that time. And public comment should start by stating the speaker's name, address, and topic. And the board is not permitted during this time to enter into any dialogue with the speaker. Do we have any public comments at this time? Glenn?
I do not see any of the virtual attendees expressing a desire, nor did we receive any comments by the 3:30 cutoff time.
Okay, great. Well, let me know as we go through the meeting if anybody does raise their hand and want to comment on an item, please. I see on the next item on our agenda is a presentation that district staff will be making. So I'll turn it over to you, General Manager Perome.
All right, thank you, Director Sinella. The first item, it's an opportunity to honor our employees who have reached service anniversary levels here at Vallecitos. In typical years, we have a service awards luncheon, and the board joins us to acknowledge our service award recipients. It's always a wonderful event. It's a great time and probably one of the highlights of our year. But unfortunately, this year, we're not able to host our awards luncheon due to COVID. But that doesn't mean we're going to let the opportunity pass to recognize our milestone employees. Since we can't all be together, we decided to put together a video montage of the employees who are receiving awards tonight. And as always, Alicia Yerman did an outstanding job on the video. So I'd like to share this 5-minute video with you and then get any feedback the board members may have. So let me try to share my screen here. Can you all see the opening screen?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to start it. And like I said, it's about 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
I knew from the first day I stepped into the Vallecitos Water District that this is where I wanted to be and finish my career here. The Vallecitos Water District is providing good service to our customers and helping the employees to achieve that. So I would have to say that we have a top-notch employees here. Our management's supportive. It's been an awesome road with the Vallecitos Water District, and I'm always going to be grateful to be able to say that I spent my career here and that I achieved all those goals that I wanted to achieve.
All right, great video, huh?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I just want to point out some of the hairstyles, most of which were Dawn's, that were really outstanding over the years. So there were 16 employees that were recognized in the video, and if you total up all their years of service, it's almost 200 years of their lives that they've spent working for Vallecitos. So that's a pretty impressive number. As the board knows, we have a service award program that provides funding for gift cards for our service award recipients as a small token of our appreciation. Unfortunately, the board won't be able to hand those out today, but rest assured those will find their way to the right people. I'd like to take a minute just to express my personal appreciation to all of the award recipients. It's pretty amazing. We work in a very competitive job environment, and our employees always have places where they work. A lot of feedback here. And I'm just glad that they've chosen to remain at Vallecitos. So that's a thank you to everybody. So I'd like to turn it over to the board for any comments you may like to have. But at the end, when the board's done, before we start the regular meeting, I'd appreciate if Director Sinella, if you could turn it back over to me after the board's had a chance to talk.
Okay. I'll turn it over to my colleagues. Does anybody want to say anything at this time?
If I could, Mike, it's interesting being in the business. I've interacted with a number of the employees, both during my professional career and as a board member, and I can't tell you how wonderful they have helped, and how I have heard from community members how they have reacted. Always positive. I have never, and I've been on the board now 10 years plus, I have never heard a single negative comment with regard to any of our staff or our district as well. So I applaud them all. I know a number of them, a couple of them are going to be leaving Vallecitos, and I know their replacement are going to be in just as great shape. So thank you all. You've done a wonderful job.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. Anybody else?
This is Director Evans. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Well, yes, I look at the number of people there and the years they put in and can only think how lucky I've been to have had 8 years with them. They've been wonderful. They do a great job. I want all of them to know that if this was pre-COVID, I'd be hugging each of you. So I'm sending hugs virtually. I'm so proud of you, and I realize how much I miss you. Thank you so much for your good service and for making Vallecitos what it is, because without you, we would just be a name on a board. So I deepest appreciation, and I'm proud of those of you who are getting up there in the years, but it makes me sad to know you're going to be leaving. I wish you the very, very best, and thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Director Evans. Would either Director Elitharp or Director Martin like to say anything?
Director Sinella, I would. Our staff that is there in place now is awesome. I've worked with many different types of staffs. They go far beyond my expectations. I just wish I was there to give each and every one of them a big hug. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Martin. Director Elitharp, are you there?
Yeah, I'd like to express my deepest appreciation for all these wonderful years of service, particularly to Dawn for those 30 years. Just outstanding, and I wish her all the best.
Thank you, Director Elitharp, and I'll just echo with what everybody else said. We have a wonderful team at Vallecitos. Greatly appreciate the effort that everybody puts in. And I think as board members, we know that, that effort's not always Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And, those pipes, they break 24 hours a day and often require our team to spring into action with little to no notice and work through the night and do whatever it takes to continue water and wastewater services for our customers that are vital. And we all just really appreciate it. And congratulations to everybody for your service anniversaries. And with that, Glenn, I'll turn it back over to you as you had asked.
Yeah, thank you, Director Sinella. So quite a few of our service award recipients have actually joined online, and one of them actually has her hand raised. So Dawn has her hand raised, so hopefully she wants to say something. So Dawn, enabled your microphone. If there's anything you want to say, you may have to unmute yourself.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, the district management and board of directors all these years for the great support. And it's just been a great career for me. I plan on leaving next year. I still have a year left, but it's been a really great experience working for the Vallecitos Water District. And Director Evans, I wish you the best and thank you for everything as well. And I hope that your future and retirement is a good one. But I wanted to thank everybody. I really appreciate that, everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I want to do one more thing tonight, board. So I want to mention another group of employees that Director Hernandez actually touched on it. And I want to talk about those that will be retiring by year's end. And there's actually 4 of them. And each of the 4 who I'm going to mention have spent at least 15 years with Vallecitos. 2 of them were already honored tonight with the Service Achievement Awards. So I'll go through the 4 if that's okay with the board. So first is Eileen Kuntz. Eileen has been with us for 15 years. She got her 15-year anniversary. She's going to be retiring November 27th. Eileen was hired as an engineering tech 3 and has spent her time in development services group under Rob Scholl. In 2016, her position was reclassed to development services coordinator, and she worked as the lead that was overseeing all the other engineering techs there. And today is her actual last day in the office.
Oh.
So between now and the 27th, probably vacation or whatever, but today is her last day. So congratulations, Eileen. Next one I wanted to recognize was Robert Salazar. Robert was hired in 2002, so 18 years with the district. He started as an electrical instrumentation tech. 2006, he was promoted to the position of a mechanical electrical supervisor. He's only got a few weeks left and he'll be retiring on Christmas Day. So that's kind of a nice present to be able to give to yourself. Not many people can do that. Third person is Gina Kirby. Gina has been with us 20 years. She got the 20-year award earlier tonight. She'll be also retiring in December. She was hired in 2000 as a meter worker. Then she moved to customer service a year later. She worked in customer service for 11 years, so she understands that side of the shop too. And then she was promoted to an accounts analyst. And in 2016, she was promoted to be our meter services supervisor, which is where she's going to be finishing off her district career. So congratulations to Gina as well. And finally is Eric Garcia. His last official day is just like Robert. It's going to be Christmas Day after 28 years with Vallecitos. He's already worked his last day, so he's out of the office already, and he's just using vacation time until Christmas Day. So 28 years, but apparently Eric couldn't stick it out for another 2 years to reach the 30-year milestone. So he's kind of a quitter, and I'm sure Don will always hold that over him. Eric started as a wastewater collection system worker, eventually worked his way up to a worker 3. He was a lead in the department for 8 years, and then he finished his career as the supervisor for the entire wastewater collections group. So congratulations, Eric. Really sad to see all 4 of these people go. Awesome workers, and they'll all be gone by the end of the year. And if you total up those 4 people's years of experience with Vallecitos, it's 81 years of experience that's just going to be walking out the door. Either already has or will be by December. So that's a big loss, and we're going to be struggling to try to figure out how to fill those shoes that they're vacating. So, things like this, these departures, and to me at least, they bring a mix of emotions. I'm really sad to see them go. I'm really happy for them and their ability to be able to go out when they want to go out. And I'm really frustrated that COVID kind of robbed us all of the opportunity to say a proper goodbye on our own terms. So that's unfortunate, but we're hopeful that when COVID, clears out and we can resume normal operations, we'll try to pull these people back in and maybe have a proper goodbye party for them. So, but anyway, I want to say thank you all for your service and best of luck in retirement. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Director Snelling.
Well, thank you, Glenn. That was really special, and congratulations to everybody who's either was recognized for their service anniversaries or their retirements. And for those that are retiring, go have a lot of fun, enjoy it, whatever. Best of luck to wherever life takes you after Vallecitos, and we wish you the best. And thank you for everything that you've done for the water district and our customers. So we'll move back on to our regular scheduled programming, and we'll move to the consent calendar. And as you guys know, all matters listed under the consent calendar will be voted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a member of the public requests to pull an item and talk about it individually, in which case we will go ahead and consider it separately. Is there any items that anybody wants to pull, or just cut? Is any member of the public have any comments on it? And if not, then I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move to approve. Martin.
Okay.
Second, Evans.
Okay, we got a motion by Martin and a second by Evans. Do a roll call vote. Director Hernandez.
Yes.
Director Elithart.
Yes.
Director Martin.
Yes.
Director Evans.
Yes.
And Director Sinella also votes yes. The consent calendar is approved. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our first action item, our only action item, 2.1, fiscal year 2020 audit results and comprehensive annual financial report. And I'll turn it over to you, General Manager Prum.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to turn this over to Wes, but basically this is an annual item that we do. We present the results of the audit, and we'll talk about the CAF for a little bit. And I believe we have a representative from our auditing firm with us tonight too, but with that, I'll turn it over to Wes.
Good evening, President Evans, members of the board. Tonight we will be presenting the comprehensive annual financial report. We completed the audit in September, and we've been working on the CAFR since then. And tonight we are privileged to have Jennifer Farr here with us from Davis Farr to present the audit results. And after she is done, I will actually give a brief as I can presentation on the comprehensive annual financial report. So with that, Jennifer.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. You'll have to let me know if it doesn't work out properly, but I assume that it is up on your screen now.
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Well, we have completed the audit for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2020, and I have a short presentation to walk you through the audit results. Our audit includes the comprehensive annual financial report, which is prepared by the district staff. And included in the report is our unmodified audit opinion that's dated November 12th of 2020. The unmodified opinion means that the financial statements and the footnotes are presented fairly in accordance with the accounting standards. We also issue 2 additional letters. One is a letter to those in governance that summarizes the audit results, and the other is the government auditing standards opinion, which includes compliance issues and internal control recommendations. To keep up with my clicking here. I'm happy to report that the finance staff was prepared for the audit, and it was a very smooth audit from our standpoint, even though we did end up performing the audit remotely. So it was probably a little more challenging for the finance staff, but from our standpoint, it did not hold up the audit or result in any difficulties in performing the audit. Also happy to report that we had no material audit adjustments detected during the audit. The whole point of what we're doing is to make sure your financial statements have no material misstatements. So you, as a result of our audit, you did not have any material misstatements. We did identify a few immaterial errors in the accounting numbers, and we recorded journal entries to correct those amounts, but they were not significant to the audit. In addition, we review your internal controls, and you had no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal controls as well. We did have just one best practice recommendation related to accounting for construction in progress. However, the issues we noted there were very minor. It was more of just best practice for the future, and nothing that you need to be too concerned about. As part of our audit under government auditing standards, we are required to test for compliance with certain laws and regulations. I've included in here a few of those compliance areas that we test, including investment compliance, debt compliance, and compliance with your purchasing policy. So for example, we picked a sample of 25 random checks and made sure that the amount paid agrees to the support and was approved in accordance with the district's policies, and that everything, all the documentation was correct. If you were required to have bidding, that the bidding was performed. So we had no exceptions as a result of that testing, and we had no exceptions as a result of any of the compliance testing that we performed. I've included in this slide just a few of the areas of audit focus this year. And again, these areas will change based on the significant transactions and our audit approach, which changes every year. Our standard audit approach is to test all material assets and liabilities, and then we perform compliance testing and transaction testing on specific asset or revenue and expense accounts. For construction in progress, we tested 50% of the balances to make sure that the projects were properly classified, and we had one immaterial adjustment related to that testing. For other post-employment benefits, we test your actuarial valuation and the census data supporting the employee information that's used for that calculation to make sure that the numbers are correct and you have the proper disclosures. And this year, as part of our unpredictability test, we did additional testing on your cash disbursements. We obtained all of your bank statements for the year, and then we also obtained all of the check registers from the accounting system. We used our data mining software to match up 100% of the checks that were on your check register to what actually cleared the bank. So if there was a payment that, like a fraudulent check that went through the bank account that was not recorded in your accounting system, this test would have caught it. So I am happy to report that everything checked out and there were no problems between the accounting records and the bank statement. So that is good news for you as well. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is a few upcoming accounting standards. Next year, you'll be required to implement GASB 84, which adds fiduciary activities to your financial statements. I don't believe that this standard will impact you very much, but we will carefully work with district staff to see if it does. And then a year after that, you'll be required to implement the new lease standard. So if you have any operating leases where you're either the leaseor or the leasee, you will be recording new transactions for those leases. So with that is all of the prepared questions or prepared comments that I had for the audit. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have at this time before Wes takes it over and gives you some more details.
Okay, fellow board members, does anybody have any question?
This is Director Evans, please.
Okay, Director Evans.
Thank you. It's not really a big question, but is this the last year that Vallecitos will be able to use Davis Farr as our auditors? Yes.
So I can answer that question. We have Director Evans is Wes Owen. We have a 3-year contract with Davis Farr with 2 one-year options for extension. So
Okay.
it'll be brought before the board before the end of the next fiscal year to decide whether we should extend their contract.
This is their last of the first 3 years, the first contract?
Yes.
Okay, well, since I won't be here, I just wanted to personally say thank you to you, Jennifer. I've had the pleasure of working with you both with Vallecitos and with the Water Authority, and I'm very impressed with Davis Bar, and you have been wonderful at answering questions and expressing what needs to be expressed in a very easily understood and calming manner. Sometimes finances are a little overwhelming, and I just want you to know how much I've appreciated working with you and your company. So thank
We
you
will-
very much.
You will certainly be missed, Director Evans, on both boards.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other board members have any questions at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll continue with Wes.
Yeah, and before, this is Glenn, before Wes goes into the CAFR, I neglected to say at the beginning, both of these items were presented to the Finance Committee on the way to the board. So that was done on Monday. So I don't know if Wes was going to cover that, but just wanted to make sure the board was aware that the Finance Committee did get a chance to hear both these items. Wes?
So I just want to say thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate the presentation and all your help during the audit. It's always nice working with you. So now I'm going to talk about the exciting stuff. I'll get into all the numbers. I know how much you all love it. So let's get started. As Jennifer mentioned, the financial statements are the responsibility of management. And that being said, staff works very hard during the year to make sure they record all the transactions and prepare the financials to ensure that they're accurate, complete, and fairly presented so that there are no errors or discrepancies or material weaknesses found during the audit. So let's talk a little bit about the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, or also known as the CAFR. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. So this is the new cover for the CAFR. It is replacing the award-winning CAFR cover from 2019, and hopefully this will also be an award-winning cover. But as you know, the contents of the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report begin with the financial section, which are the minimum requirements for an annual financial report, which is what we had before 2019. So it's only necessary for us to prepare the financial section with the annual report. So I'll talk about that first, but in order for it to be a comprehensive annual financial report, we have to add the introductory section and the statistical section. So let's take a look at the financial section because it is sort of the meat and potatoes of the annual financial report. So the contents of the financial section are first the independent auditor's report, then the management's discussion and analysis section. Then we have the financial statements themselves, which consist of the statements of net position, the statements of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and the statements of cash flows. After the financial statements, we have the notes to the financial statements, and finally, we have the supplementary information. So that's what makes up the financial section. I'm going to be focusing on the management's discussion and analysis first, because that's actually sort of a summary of the financial statements. It gives us financial highlights and gives us a chance to brag about the district's accomplishments during the year. So some of the financial highlights in the management's discussion analysis. First thing I want to note is that water sales actually increased from 2019 to 2020 by $1.1 million. This was a result of a rate increase that we had go into effect on March 1st. And that combined with just a very slight decrease in demand actually resulted in an increase in water sales. Next, we have a decrease in capacity fees of $2.1 million. And you may ask how that's a highlight because they went down, but actually it's right in line with our normal sort of fluctuation in capacity fees. In 2018, we collected about $6.4 million in capacity fees. And with the COVID pandemic, you'd almost expect to see a decrease in that, but at $6.8 million, it's not a bad result. And finally, capital asset acquisitions actually was $12.2 million for 2020, which is up $3.1 million, which is a good sign for the district because we're continuing construction as normal and actually increasing. Next, some more financial highlights, and this is on page 22 of your CAFR if you're following along. The net income before contributions is $2.6 million. And then the change in net position after capital contributions increased by $11 million. Next, worth noting is that the district paid down $3.5 million in long-term debt during the year without incurring any additional debt. And we made an additional discretionary payment to the CalPERS unfunded accrued liability of $8,054,000. And that payment should result in estimated interest savings of $10,368,000. Next, these next few slides are going to show current year to prior year analysis. This is the summary of the changes in net position on page 21 of the CAFR. And first, I wanted to note that the capital assets actually decreased by $2.9 million from 2019 to 2020. And that's mainly just as a result of assets depreciating. Other assets increased by $3.6 million, and this is a result of increasing investments in Encina and the Encina Wastewater Authority. And then deferred outflows increased by $6.9 million, and that's directly a result of the payment to PERS for the additional discretionary payment of $8,054,000. As you may know, PERS has a delay in their reporting. They're always a year behind. So we paid it in 2020, so we don't actually get credit for it till next year. So in effect, it's like a prepayment or an asset, and they call that a deferred outflow. So non-current liabilities decreased by $2.7 million from 2019 to 2020, and that was a result of paying down the debt of $3.5 million. And finally, under the net position changes, deferred inflows increased by about $500,000, and that's just a result of the actuarial assumptions as calculated by CalPERS. Moving on, this is page 22 of the CAFR. It's a rather large table with a lot of numbers, so I broke it into two sections for presentation purposes. So I broke it into revenues and expenses in two separate slides. So this slide shows the revenues portion of that page. And we can see here that the major sources of revenue for the district are water sales at 39%, sewer service charges at 25%, and ready to serve at 19%. And also worth noting is that other revenues decreased by about $500,000. And this was really a result of the fact that last year we got a few large reimbursements. We had the Diamond Environmental settlement of about $600,000, and we had a desal true up of about $300,000. And this year we just weren't that lucky. So not as many reimbursements this year. So moving on to expenses. Worth noting are that G&A actually increased from last year to this year by $1.6 million. This was a result of GASB 68 adjustments that are required to be posted for accounting purposes. So that actually increased, and that adjustment resulted in an increase in expenses of about $2.5 million this year. Encina disposal increased by $500,000, and that's for anticipated increases in operating expenses at Encina. Transmission and distribution decreased by $600,000. The reason for this decrease is last year we had a lot of water main breaks, so there were less this year, and the expenses decreased. Other expenses increased by $1.7 million, and this is due in large part to recognizing a loss on our investment in Encina. As the board knows, we recognize a change in Encina's assets, liabilities, and net position based on our ownership. So on pages 23 and 24 of the MD&A, it talks about some of the restrictions, commitments, and limitations of the district. And the first thing we note is that the district has $52.5 million in outstanding long-term debt, and that we're contracted through at least the design phase on two rather large projects, the 2019 sewer lining and North Twin Oaks Tank No. 1 refurbishment. And the total on those two is about $1.1 million. And this information is all available in note 11 to the financial statements. So the last page of the management's discussion analysis talks about some economic factors that were considered in preparing the 2021 budget. And we'll all be very familiar with these because we talked about them extensively. The first one is increases in residential water usage and decreases in commercial water usage due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, we have decreases in customers' ability to pay their bills due to COVID-19. And then the decline or anticipated decline in construction and development as a result of COVID-19. And finally, increasing regulatory compliance. So moving on to the contents of the comprehensive annual financial report, the next section I'd like to talk about is the introductory section. So this section it begins with a letter of transmittal, and the letter of transmittal gives background information on the district and describes the district as a reporting entity. It also talks about economic conditions and outlook and our awards and accomplishments during the year. And this year, funny enough, that actually includes it's actually not funny, but this year that includes the GFOA award that we received, and we have to include it in the introductory section. So in your introductory section, you will see a copy of the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting that we received for our 2019 CAFR. It also has an organization chart, a list of principal officials, and our service area map. And that's the entirety of the introductory section. Moving on from there, we'll talk about the statistical section. The statistical section is 16 total tables with 10 years of historical information in each area. And it provides readers with more information about the district, and it just improves overall transparency. The statistical section is broken up down into 5 areas of focus. And these areas are the financial trends. So these are tables 1 and 2 on pages 66 and 67 of the CAFR. And this shows the financial performance and well-being of the district by presenting 10 years of historical net position of the district. The next area of focus is revenue capacity, and that provides, it's actually on tables 3 through 9 and pages 68 through 73. And it provides detailed information about revenues and expenses broken down by source for the last 10 years. The third area of focus is debt capacity, tables 10 and 11 on pages 74 and 75. And that's the outstanding debt by type and our debt service coverage ratio for the last 10 years. The fourth area is demographic and economic information, tables 12 through 14 on pages 76 through 78. And that shows the assessed valuation, our population information, and our largest employers for the last 10 years. And finally, the fifth area is the operating information. That's tables 15 and 16 on pages 79 and 80. And that shows our employees by function and our capital assets by type for the last 10 years. So that's the statistical section. And the next steps in the CAFR process, just like last year, we have to go through our 79-page checklist detailing all the requirements in order to achieve the award. So we did it last year, we'll do it again this year. And the next part is when we receive the award, what happens is we send in the checklist and they have reviewers go through our CAFR and look at the checklist. And they actually provide comments on any possible suggestions for the next year. It's more of a you must do this or tell us why you're not doing it type of thing. So we have to address all of the prior year comments. None of them were really significant. And we think we've actually done all that already, but we'll address those and then send in the application again at the end of December. And hopefully we'll achieve the award again in 2020. So with that, staff recommends that the board consider and accept the 2020 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, colleagues, any questions from the board?
Director Sinella, this is General Manager Pruitt. Can I make a comment here?
Yes.
So at the conclusion of our regular meeting, we're going to be convening our Finance Corporation. So I just want to give the board a heads up that you won't be hearing these presentations again, but you will be asked to take an action on them during the Finance Corporation. So just to set the stage, unless you want to hear both presentations again, when we reconvene, we'll just be asking the board to take an action on what you already heard in the regular meeting.
This is
Okay.
Director Evans.
Yes,
I'd like-
Director Evans.
I would like to move for approval, and I would like to congratulate the Finance Department and all those involved. It's such an amazing accomplishment to have received the award, and it's amusing to me how much fun that looks like it was for you, Wes, because as I'm listening it, I'm imagining you and Mike in the back rooms having a great time. I would be pulling my hair out, but I'm thrilled, and I'm sure you're going to get it again. So thank you. I think our financial committee and our department have done a wonderful job and really brought Vallecitos into a high level of transparency and accomplishment in the department. I'm really proud of all of you.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Evans. Anybody else have any comments, or is there a second to her motion?
A second and a comment.
Okay.
Wes, words elude me when I want to thank you so much for what you have achieved in the last few years, making us so transparent, so easy for everyone to understand. You and your staff have done a great job, and it's been a pleasure working with you and quite a great education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Martin.
Thank you, Director Martin. Any other questions before we take a vote? Okay, and I'll just say, I saw this, Wes, I was as part of the Finance Committee, and it was all just as good and fun the second time around. So thank you. And, it's been, really nice working with you and Mike and everybody else in the team, and from our outside consultants and everybody else involved. It's just been a great experience. And ultimately, as Director Evans had mentioned, it's all about having good, accurate, transparent information for all of our customers to be able to access at any time. And that award really shows that you guys are on top of it. So I appreciate that. With that, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote for the motion. And I'll start with Director Evans.
Yes.
Director Elithart.
Yes.
Director Martin.
Yes, and I forgot to thank Muggsy during my little spiel. Thank you.
Okay. And Director Hernandez.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So the motion passes unanimously. That concludes our action items for tonight. And so we'll move on to 3.1, our reports. General Manager, we'll start with you.
Yeah, just a couple. Obviously, just the nature of our work, we impact roadways at times, and we need to do repairs. So just want to inform the board and the public about a couple of road repair projects we'll be doing. So this Saturday, we'll be working along San Marcos Boulevard, and we'll be repairing a variety of patches that were put in place after we did some either valve work or mainline repairs. So we do temporary repairs, and then we come back and do the permanent repairs with a contractor. And that's what will be happening this Saturday along San Marcos Boulevard. So the second item is also along San Marcos Boulevard, but it's just in the area of Pacific Street, so kind of by the Arby's there. So as the board knows, one of our CIP projects is the construction of the San Marcos Sewer Interceptor project, and that sewer line has to go across San Marcos Boulevard. So between now and January 4th, we'll be having fairly significant impacts along San Marcos Boulevard in both directions. We'll be working during the day and at night. At night, there will be some detours in place. And then during the day, we'll be narrowing San Marcos Boulevard down to one lane in each direction. Everything we're doing is in coordination with the city of San Marcos and their traffic department. So we've got their blessing. They realize it's a project that needs to be done, and they've worked with us to be as least impactful on motoring public as possible. But unfortunately, there's going to be some impacts. I would say the good thing, as long as we stick with our schedule, if the project is done in that area done by January 4th, we don't think the San Marcos High School traffic will be starting up again until after that. And obviously, you all know when school's in session, the traffic is a lot worse along San Marcos Boulevard. So we're trying to get in and out of San Marcos Boulevard before school traffic picks up. So I just want to bring those two projects to the board's attention. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, General Manager Prum. We'll move on to any legal counsel updates.
Thank you, Director Sanella. I had a couple of updates. One, I just wanted to confirm on the election issues that under the election code, new directors for the district would take office after noon on December 4th. And the certified election results are expected by December 3rd. If that doesn't occur by the 3rd, then they don't take office until those results are certified. This occurred in the past, for example, in 2016, when they weren't certified until the 10th. But assuming they're certified, the new directors would take office on December 4th. And before taking office, they are required to take the official oath and deal with executing the bond required by the act. The second update is that we have updated our public integrity pocket guides, which I will send to GM Pruitt for distribution. This is just a sample of those guides. This is a guide to gift rules for public officials and employees. It's just a quick snapshot. It's a trifold that you can fold up and keep with you, or keep the PDF. And the other one is avoiding financial conflicts of interest, walking you through whether you should participate in a decision in terms of whether you have a financial conflict of interest under the Public Reform Act. So I'll be sending those and the other pocket guides, which may be, some of which may be of interest to the staff, but these are certainly of interest to you as public officials. That's everything I have to report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gilpin. Director Evans, is there anything to update with the San Diego County Water Authority?
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow at 9, and if any of you have time to watch it, you might be interested. We are going to be having a discussion and a vote on the possibilities of moving to Phase B on the regional alternative regional conveyance system. So it should be a very interesting meeting, and of course, you'll hear the results, I'm sure, via the internet anyway, and I'll do a full report on our next meeting on the 2nd of December.
Okay, thank you. Directors Hernandez or Martin, do you have any updates from Encina?
Go ahead, Director Martin.
No, I don't have any updates.
Okay. And Director Hernandez, do you have anything at this time?
No.
Okay, we'll move right along. Any updates from the standing committees?
Finance Committee, you just heard everything we did.
Yep, that was a repeat.
Yeah.
Did any of the other standing committees convene?
No.
So,
Okay, moving on to 3.6, director's reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars. Did anybody attend anything?
Director Evans here.
Yes,
I
Director.
did attend the CALU meeting on the 17th, and I found it very interesting. It was Gloria Gray from the Metropolitan, and I'm sure the rest of you were there, and Gary Croucher as president of the County Water Authority. What I found most interesting is, and I hope there's some truth to it, I felt that Chair Croucher was fairly open and seemed to really want to reach for collaboration, cooperation, and working together, which I think would be wonderful on a variety of levels for the Water Authority. And although I felt Gloria Gray did a great job, I felt it was just reading a piece of paper and very not insincere, but not very well, just sort of read what was there. And that was disappointing to me because I've met her personally and she can be, you know, much more in depth and sincere sounding, but it didn't seem like a lot of effort had gone in on her part. Whereas I felt on the other, on Croucher's, he really was trying. And then I was very excited to see that they'd had 65 plus guests via the teleconferencing, which is amazing. And really a lot of compliments to Mina for how she's been handling the meetings, her and Alani. But it's a great meeting. I was glad to get to compare the two, and hopefully it will go good places.
Okay, thank you, Director Evans. Anybody else? I think most of us were at the same meeting, but does anybody else have any other perspective they want to add?
I was at the meeting and I concur with Director Evans's assessment of Metropolitan's responses.
Okay. Anybody else?
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can. Director Hernandez, I can hear you.
I can't see the screen any longer, but I too was at the meeting and I concur with the words stated.
Okay. And Director Eltharp, do you have anything to report out?
I attended the CAU meeting as well and don't have anything further to add.
Yep. And I also attended, and I think Director Evans was spot on. I also am hopeful that the two agencies will better work together, and they really went out of their way at this particular meeting to at least present a at least the perception that they're going to really work hard to start to collaborate better and work together better. But I guess time will tell. So, but it was very informative, and it was a very good meeting. And I also agree with Director Evans that the way that the Kiowa meetings have been ran this year, and the level of quality speakers and the education that comes out of it, it turned in from one of probably the least informative meetings that I would attend to probably the most informative. So it's been very good. It's unfortunate that it sounds like they're trying to, I know these are volunteer positions, and they have day jobs that they need to focus on, and everybody's really busy, but it sounds like they're trying to turn over the reins of the organization. And so hopefully they'll be able to keep their momentum going into the future. So it was really good. With that, we will end our reports, and we'll go to 4.1. Does anybody have any comments or future agenda items? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Everybody have a good night. For those in the audience, thank you for attending.